Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever, whenever that you may be tuning in. This is Yonks, and this is our Three Win Social annual meeting and community call. And this is actually our fourth community call. I was looking back at the our agenda and meeting notes in Notion, and it seems like it'd been all the way back in October of 2024 since we had our last community call. And honestly, we're really wanting to do our Three Win Social annual meeting on 3/3, March the 3rd, but was so busy here with building everything in 2025 and ETH Denver. And this is something, Tyler, that we may want to think about and be more intentional about maybe leaning into the mountain retreat dynamic, at least for a getaway on the tail end of ETH Denver. But that's something that we can talk about. We have almost a year, not quite, since it's middle of April, and it is actually tax day. So happy tax day to anybody. And I don't know how happy the tax day is for most people. But anyway, let's get on with the show. There's a possibility that the live stream may not be working. I'm not sure what's going on. I've done hundreds of these things and was having some technical difficulties, but anyway, I will definitely, if we're not live, get this uploaded through a recorded live stream format later. But is the screen share showing through for you all, Tyler or Webb?
Yes, it's shown for me.
Yeah, I got it.
Awesome. Okay, great. So, one of the things that I will always talk about is our FELG culture, and that's an acronym for fun, earning, learning, and giving. And not going to do a deeper dive on that, but that's one of the things that's a strong ethos within our ecosystem. So anyway, I'm gonna one of the things that we have talked about that I feel that we've been kicking the can down the road with is our intentions with Triple Win Foundation. And one of the things that's a little newer is leaning into Three Win Social as far as a brand. And I'm actually really liking that. I think that DAO, while I absolutely self-identify as a Taoist, I'm working very intentionally to abstract away a lot of the technology speak from our conversations as much as possible. And I'm going to just momentarily bounce over here to 3win.social. This is a site that is going to get rebuilt here in April, May. Not going to unpack what all of that looks like. It's built with the WordPress backend. And yeah, so anyway, we'll come back to that later, but we're going to get the process going. We went about this time last year through the process with Instant Nonprofit for becoming a 501c3 with Colorado Blockchain Foundation. And we're actually planning to stealth launch Colorado blockchain here through the American Dream campaign. And I'll come back to that a little bit later in the agenda. So I also see that I Am Lotus has joined us. Good morning, I Am Lotus. You just got here in time for our discussion of the proposal that we've been talking about for years now. But anyway, I saw you have your mic open. Go ahead, I Am Lotus.
Yeah, I was thinking about the 11 o'clock meeting, but I was driving and then I totally forgot once I reached my destination. But I'm here now.
No worries. We had a late start and some technical difficulties, so I'm suspecting because I was refreshing over here on the live stream, and anyway, I don't think it ended up going live, but I'll figure that out and troubleshoot that later. So anyway, since we discussed or have this as our next item, I'm just going to cross these other things off here right now. Um, and I'm going to actually leave this here because this one has an action item here because the plan is to file or to begin the process. We already talked about that. So anyway, the proposal to reboot Retoken DAO into P token assets. And this is something that thank you, Tyler, for all that you do behind the scenes. And I'm going to go through and review this proposal here. And did you want to talk about the creation of this proposal? I know this is something that you worked on last night, Tyler.
Yeah, sure. So I actually started with the original retoken Genesis proposal and just started looking at what is still applicable, what needs to be updated, and a lot of the things like we're a community, we don't have founders allocations, we don't have any liquidity, and all the things that we want to make sure that people are aware of. The only thing in there that is probably significant for anybody who is one of the original retoken holders is my draft says we would like to airdrop proportionate P tokens for the earned in retokens because people were expecting that community to continue. And when it didn't, we just want to acknowledge all the work that we still used in P token and acknowledge that. So not exactly sure if it's going to be 1-for-1 based on the valuation, but on a percentage basis, drop since retokens will now never be worth anything because that community is functionally gone. We want to acknowledge that and airdrop people P tokens in the same equivalent amount. So
Well, and I'm glad that we're talking about this because my thoughts is actually not to have any token surrounding P token assets itself. And this is where we can, because there's going to be several components to P token assets. There's going to be P token associates, P token exchange, and then where we're doing entity management. And the entity management may evolve into the RWA legal. So my thoughts are, go ahead, Tyler.
So again, this is just a draft. Maybe we drop them collabberry points or whatever, but I just want to acknowledge that people who put in the work on retoken, we'd like them to have some carryover to P token and
Well,
obviously invite all those people to rejoin us. So whatever that looks like is what we should do.
yeah, and my thoughts is like, and let me actually just bring this open here because this is actually our Telegram, and this is the event that had in our events channel. And real quick, speaking of Telegram, Telegram is likely going to evolve into an announcements only functionality. Really liking Common Ground, and I'm actually going to go to Common Ground, our We Own community on Common Ground. And this is one of the things mentioned progressive web app earlier. This is actually one of the most beautiful progressive web apps that I've actually seen. And what does that look like on a desktop? Well, this actually has where you can open a app, and this is what the app looks like here. And it still looks and feels pretty similar, but like when you're doing a tab, like when you toggle between open apps, this is a standalone open app, and it has a fabulous experience. But anyway, to come back to the proposal, the thing that I actually wanted to show in the Telegram was the tokenomics, because the thoughts is that P token assets, and this is something that I captured fairly well here. And this was actually represented within this screenshot, or this screenshot of Google Sheets, is P token network. And one of the reasons that kind of shifted away from the network is just to add differentiation between We Own Network and P token. And I think P token assets more accurately describes, because each asset, like in this screenshot, this represents the value for doing the initial P token offering for my IRA. So my IRA is a P token asset. So, and that's one of the things that we'll talk about a little bit more. But this is where I believe that we can create, like one of the things that we were talking about, I Am Lotus and I were having a side conversation, like for example, we fulfill this distribution, this tokenomics model for my IRA. Over here, we'll have 2 million tokens of my IRA, and I would have no problem doing and proposing like a 1-to-1 retoken to my IRA swap from the bucket of uh, tokens that will be in the P token treasury for P token assets. And this is something that whenever I do an update, I might even do. This is version 1.71 of the My IRA tokenomics. But that was kind of the thoughts that I had in a side conversation with I Am Lotus as far as making good on our previous fulfillment of the sweat equity for retoken contributors. All right, well, we'll get this proposal posted here very soon. Part of the reason that also wanting to do this, we'll talk about here in a minute. But did anybody want to chime in any additional thoughts on the retoken reboot into P token assets? All right. Well, don't see any mics opening up. And this is also one of the things, too, just to socialize. This is one of the things that we normally, in some format, like to discuss proposals and then have a method where we can asynchronously discuss those as well. So that's something that I might think about creating in our common ground as a place to discuss proposals. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and check off this line item for today's agenda. So, We Own Capital is a umbrella that we have embraced here very recently within our ecosystem to really describe the 6 pillars that we're using to foster cooperative ownership. And 6 pillars, you think of capital, these are primarily investment mechanisms for people to contribute to. We own cash backed by P token assets. We just got done talking about P token assets, and we're only going to be beginning to talk about P token assets here in 2025 and beyond. And hopefully, it's only a matter of time until this TM, which is trademark. And yes, we are going through the process with the USPTO of getting P token registered. When we get it registered, the TM will go to a Circle R. I'm not going to unpack the strategy that we're using on that, but the real elevator pitch is that we're wanting P token to be a gold standard for tokenized real world assets, RWAs. So we'll talk more about We Own Cash. Investment clubs, this is something that we've been talking about for a while. We're also collaborating with these conversations on Pizza DAO. One of the other things too that I'll come back to that, loans and mortgage. We have some domains, no immediate plans to do anything with these domains. We're planning to do most of the mortgage business through We Own Cash, which is a mortgage REIT under the hood. And then also the other mortgage REIT is iREIT, but we'll talk a little bit more about those. Tax advantaged arrangements, we've had a lot of conversations here in 2025 around myira.fund. This got deprioritized a little bit because we're running into some challenges as far as getting the custodian solution figured out. And this is something that we've had some side conversations around whether it makes sense for us to become a trust company like We Own Trust or potentially a bank or whatnot. And those conversations will circle back, and we'll also foster or start some conversations because you think about tax advantaged arrangements. One of the other things that is a increasing consideration are HSAs, health savings accounts. And that's another mechanism for people that are maxing out their individual retirement arrangement contributions. Then that's another place that people normally start looking to contribute to. And with the cost of healthcare out of control here in the United States, that's another tax advantaged arrangement that we're wanting to do. And I'm very excited, honestly, about REITs, real estate investment trusts, and we're building a three REIT model: UPREIT for growth and equity, IREIT for income, and EREIT for energy infrastructure. And the thing that's really exciting about these three REITs is that we're really looking to replicate these three REITs on a state by state basis. And one of the things that we're going to be doing is we're going to be building out on-chain REIT for the technology solutions to basically bring cost reduction and transparency to REITs using on-chain technology. And these are really, again, the four REITs. We'll talk more about We Own Cash here momentarily. And one thing that's definitely worth mentioning is that REITs, as far as a financial mechanism for capitalizing real estate, have existed here in the US since 1960. That actually predates IRAs by over a decade. So 65 years. And this financial mechanism, REITs, has been so successful that this has expanded on a global basis to 40 additional countries. So we have a lot of opportunity to create next generation technology in several mechanisms: on-chain technology, obviously, and then we're also doing a lot with AI agents here in 2025 and beyond. So that's a little bit of the strategy surrounding REITs and what we're looking to do there. And the REITs is something that we're absolutely going to be creating that will allow non-accredited investors. And for people that aren't familiar with accredited investors, or sophisticated investors, as it's known as in some countries, for here in the US, this is a restriction that only allows high net worth individuals, $1 million of net worth, not including your primary resident, or you have to be making like 200K as an individual, or 300K for the last couple of years as a married person. But the way that we're going to be structuring our REITs is that we're going to actually allow non-accredited investors to come in. And this is where we're primarily going to be using Rule 504 under Regulation D, which is a securities exemption that will allow us to onboard non-accredited investors through private placement. We'll also explore, and this is, again, we're going to be talking about We Own Cash here momentarily, but for the people that are accredited investors, we're going to slice the investment opportunities a little differently. And this is something that we may expand into our REIT model as we get more niche. We will see what the traction looks like, and we can make that decision later. But the one that we're going to be leaning into primarily here early on are these first three. We have an immediate opportunity to do several situations through real estate, through land, and that's another novel use case that we're doing with on-chain technology. Not going to unpack all of what that looks like, but Hacker House is something that we're really excited about. What I've been socializing Hacker House, and what we're looking to do with Hacker House right now, the standing plan is to create a 4-month cohort model, where we're looking to create a cohort and apprenticeship is probably the most accurate thing, where we're looking to create a immersion situation. And I'm not sure if the 4-month model will work in every situation, but one that we're going to be focused on early on is around AI. We're really wanting to create a AI consultancy model to educate people around our ownership of our AI agency that we're building out here in 2025. And this is something, when you think about real estate, housing, accommodations is a basic human need. And one of the things that's really exciting about Hacker House is that we're going to be bridging accommodations, housing, with education and apprenticeship, where we can help train and educate people to hopefully fulfill a consultancy where they can, again, do their consultancy thing and bridge the gap around AI here in 2025. But okay, so this is a lot of information about We Own Capital. Does anyone want to chime in some thoughts before we do a deeper dive into We Own Cash on these We Own Capital pillars here?
It's exciting. It's a pretty different meeting from last year. We got a lot done this year.
Well, and we're just barely getting started. I mean, these things within We Own Capital are quite honestly mostly bullet points. I mean, there's definitely some legal framework, as you know, Tyler, that we've been building just within the last couple of weeks, 2, 3 weeks to get some of this stuff in place. But yeah, it's we're excited to create the mechanisms that will allow people to invest, to have more cooperative ownership. And the energy is something that I'm really excited about too, because I think it'll be like here in Colorado and in Minnesota, taking market share away from Excel Energy is something that I can get excited about. Alrighty, so moving on to let's talk about We Own Cash, backed by P token assets. So P token assets, again, that's where we're looking to have and let me actually just do an incognito window real quick. So P token ID is a unique identifier that we're creating, and hopefully I don't have any problems getting this window to load right now, but I'll open it up in Notion anyway. So search P token IDs. So P token IDs, this paints a better picture as far as some of the P token assets that we're building out here. So one that Tyler's been working on quite a lot is Region Village. So do you want to give any update on the property that we're under contract for here in North Denver, Tyler?
Um, Today, I actually will give a slight update, but some of the stuff is still a little bit in flux right now. So, we're supposed to be closing on May 1st. In our due diligence process, some things came up that we need to get resolved, and I'm working with the seller's agent to see if this is still going to be something that we're able to move forward with. So hopefully we are, and I will have an update for you tomorrow or later because they have until 9 p.m. tonight to get everything resolved. But we're under contract. We did go through a full commercial underwriting with a top expert in this land is a little bit weird from an underwriting standpoint because it's zoned agriculture, but it's functionally residential. And we're trying to use it in a commercial way, which is either mixed use or residential with a food hall. So we need to take it from agriculture to commercial. And so we actually found an appraiser with agricultural and residential and commercial expertise. And we spent 2 days with him, did a very extensive underwriting, took our comments back to the seller's agent, see if we get some resolution, and hopefully we can, and we can get that moving forward. But that's where we are right now is just trying to get our questions resolved before we close.
And this is, I think, probably a good opportunity because our annual meeting in 2024, back in March of 2024, we were talking about gigs go green. And one of the things that I had from a self-awareness standpoint was that most people don't have enough affiliation to unpack. And it was just adding additional complexity to attempt to talk about gigs go green in the narrative here. So this is actually we're rebranding, leaning more into We Own. We have an immense amount of history with We Own. We shifted away from that back in 2021. I'm not going to unpack all the reasons right now, but leaning into We Own in a very big way here in 2025. And that's going to amplify even more here in May as we begin talking about our We Own AI agents, crowd created, crowd funded book that we have on our roadmap to crowd create here in 2025. So anyway, this is going to be one of our flagship P token assets, and one of the things that's pretty exciting. We're going to be crowdfunding the land, so people will be able to be owners in this land opportunity. We're really wanting things, P token assets, to be community owned and operated, and that goes back to the cooperative ownership ethos that we're baking into our ecosystem. So that's just one of the P token assets, the P token IDs. We also, besides P token ID, which redirects to this Notion database, we also have P token assets. And I'm not sure why this incognito window is taking so slow. Let me just try a normal window here. Oh, I don't want ptokenassets.com. Maybe my
Hey, Jay,
computer's. Go ahead,
I
I am
just
Lotus.
I just want to mention I was in the X space this morning, and because of that uh, um thing that happened, people are talking about RWAs and you know,
Oh,
fractionalized
the mantle or manta. Which token
uh
was it?
Mantra.
yeah,
Mantra. Yeah.
mantra.
Webb, do you know
People
about
are
this?
Well, no, let her finish here
Oh,
real
sorry.
quick. I want to hear what
Sorry.
she's. Go ahead.
they were asking somebody in the audience if there was somebody that already sold and fractionalized property and all that. And I was like, I can't wait when we're already put together that I can talk to these spaces and let everybody know that we exist. That's all.
Yeah, no, and I absolutely love that. It's real unfortunate for any investors. And real quick, since this came up, let's actually just go to google.com and
Um,
do a Google
what
for mantra.
Webb, do you
Uh,
know about this?
I do not.
Okay, so there was a token called Mantra that was supposed to be a real world asset
Mhm.
play, and it ended up being a a giant scam or a rug or a shady. We're not sure exactly what, but it just
Pulled out.
like within an hour, it just went from 6 billion to like hundreds of thousands or something. I mean, it was just like the
Wow.
it
That's
was
insane.
just an absolute bloodbath.
Holy
So
moly.
it turns out that the token or the community never actually owned any assets or any land or any buildings or anything. It
well,
was
it's a blockchain. It's an infrastructure. So this is a coin that
Mhm.
represents similar to Bitcoin or Ethereum or Solana. Uh, Mantra is a layer one blockchain. I'm not sure if their blockchain is in production yet, but it was highly speculative here, and it's made a lot of new
Of course.
uh because 90 it was $6 billion, like I think almost over 5 billion of valuation disappeared almost instantly. And I mean, like, talking about market fluctuations, like, with the tariffs, there's been trillions of dollars of valuation because of exit of liquidity. And that's one of the things that when there's a lot of liquidity, like this particular has a lot of centralized exchanges. And I'm not going to unpack some of the red flags that existed around the situation, but this is one of the things that I believe that we're going to be solving through like our P token exchange. And one of the things that's worth mentioning that didn't mention yet is one of the things that was occupying a decent amount of time with Tyler and I here in March and early April is that we were working on finalizing our patent. And one of the things that let me see here. I think I've actually got, so yeah, let me bring this on screen. So this is our patent pending electronic acknowledgement receipt from April 9th, 2024. So a year and a week ago. And what we had to do in order to maintain our patent pending status is that we had to file our non-provisional patent. And one of the things that I believe that we're going to solve around the liquidity, and there's a very different dynamic of liquidity surrounding the centralized exchanges on crypto, or the traditional finance like publicly traded stock markets here in the United States. And one of the things that we're seeing happen due to the proliferation of crypto, and I'm not going to say that that's the only reason, but an increasing amount of stocks are starting to get traded on a 24-hour basis. So the technology is changing pretty quickly, but the P token exchange, one of the things that we're going to architect into P token assets, and I'm not going to unpack all of that, but we're going to build in a progressive decentralization. Like when you think about when you want to sell an asset, you go through some sort of process. And one of the things that we're going to bake into P token exchange is that there's going to be a window where somebody that doesn't own any of that P token asset will have the first opportunity to acquire that from the secondary market. And that's one of the things that was a challenge with the mantra, was that there was 90% of the token supply wasn't circulated or wasn't distributed. And anyway, that's going to be a great case study in potentially shady tokenomics. But that's one of the things that we'll have more conversations around as we continue to get traction. So anyway, getting back to our agenda, I feel that we did a pretty good job. So talking about We Own Cash, the thing that is going to be different about We Own Cash is that we're planning to do a regulation crowdfunding offering in a tandem with the 506C. The Reg CF is where we can onboard non-accredited investors, and that will allow us to raise up to 5 million. And then with the 506C, that will allow us to raise up to an unlimited amount from accredited investors. And again, thinking that We Own Cash is going to be more of a top of the funnel dynamic for onboarding investors into our ecosystem. And then we've been talking about the American dream. This was occupying conversations, and this is something that we're going to lean into here now that we got the patent thing filed, and most of the things as far as the legal framework is resolved or in place for the REITs and the venture studios. So this is something here that the conversations are going to intensify pretty because I'm still wanting to get back on track with our live stream marathon. I'm not sure what day today is, on April 15th. I'll take a look and do that. But this is something that you can expect the conversations to ramp up. And again, we're really wanting to build this through building this strategy for replication by our on-chain ambassadors. Alrighty, well, went through a lot of agenda on our annual meeting here today. The only official business that we're going to have is to vote on the retoken proposal that we're going to, and I'll circulate that. I'll do an announcement in our Discord and on our Twitter for Retoken DAO. But that being said, we're here with only a few minutes left. Always want to be respectful of everybody's time. And on that note, I'll open it up so that we can make sure that if there's anything else, this is the time to bring it forward.
I really appreciate the update on this, Sean. It's I know we've been meaning to get through this, so thank you. Good stuff.
Yeah.
Good.
Thanks,
well, a
thanks for all
lot
the hard
has
work.
unfolded in the last couple of weeks. But anyway, over to you, Tyler.
Yeah, thanks for all your hard work on this. You've really been the backbone of this whole project, so we appreciate you.
Well, thank you, and thank you too for all that you do, Tyler. It wouldn't be possible without you. So, want to always give you credit, and I'm really looking forward to getting a solid foundation where we can really bring more ownership back to our and our local communities that is increasingly disappearing, in my opinion. Alrighty, well, I don't see anybody else opening up their mic. I'm going to go ahead and do a stop on the screen share here. And I'm not sure, like, one thing that I'll end with here, this is our fourth community call with Three Win Social. I would really like to do these on a monthly basis for ecosystem community call. That's something that I'm going to commit to. And if we find that we need to do a more often cadence, we can adjust from there. But I am sad that it had been since October since we had done a three-win social community call. So this is something that I'm going to do a better job of here in 2025 going forward. But anyway, thank you everybody for hanging out today, and I'll figure out the recording or the replay and get that uploaded on our channels as well. But till next time, everybody.
Bye, guys. Have a good rest of the day. I was thinking weekend, but it's not weekend yet.